In our previous lesson, we learnt about how cities developed mostly as capitals of the Mahajanapadas. Now, in the ancient times, many cities developed throughout the Indian subcontinent. These cities were important centers of power. Here, trade activities flourished. People from different rungs of the society, people pursuing different professions, stayed in these cities. Now, a very important difference between a village and a city would be that a village is a rural space where agriculture is pursued primarily. On the other hand, a city is an urban space where agriculture is not pursued. Here, people pursue different kinds of professions but agriculture. Now, here on this map, you could locate some of the cities that gained importance in the ancient times in the Indian subcontinent. On this map, we could see Takshila, Mathura, Pataliputra, Varanasi and Ujjain. If you remember, in our last lesson we talked about how Pataliputra gained importance as an important administrative and economic center because of being the capital of the Mahajanapada of Magadha. Now, in this lesson, we will focus on one city, to be very specific. We will focus on Mathura and learn how it gained importance and the cultural influence that this city has had in this region. So, let us now begin this discussion on thriving cities. Now, Mathura has gained importance in the Indian subcontinent because of its central location. Because without any reason, one city, one region cannot become important and prominent overnight. There has to be any particular reason. And the reason when we come to talking about the importance of Mathura would be a very geographical one. This is because the geographical location of Mathura has played a very important role in giving this city its importance and prominence. Now, where in the Indian subcontinent can we situate Mathura? Mathura is located in the present-day Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. And in the ancient times, it was located in the crossroads of different trade routes. One trade route that spanned from the west of the Indian subcontinent to the northeast, and the other was from the north of the subcontinent to the south of the subcontinent. So, here we can see how one trade route here and another trade route here, and this crossroad was the place where Mathura was situated. And it is for this reason that economic activities, trade activities greatly flourished in this city. And this also gave the city of Mathura its prosperity and influence in the ancient times. Now, Mathura gained in importance mostly during the rule of the Kushanas. Now, the Kushana Empire ruled the northern and the western part of the Indian subcontinent some around 2000 years ago. Now, when the Kushanas were ruling, they made Mathura their second capital. Their first capital was Purushapura, which is the present-day city of Peshawar that is located in Pakistan. And when Mathura became their second capital, it goes without saying that Mathura now started gaining importance on the administrative and economic fronts. Now, these cities were places where people from different towns, different villages came in search of profession, in search of better opportunities. This is something that we see in today's world as well. You'll find many people from the villages migrating to the urban cities in search of better opportunities for the pursuit of education. Something similar also happened in the Indian subcontinent in the ancient times as well. Now, when people from different regions came to settle in Mathura, different kinds of activities flourished here. And among those different kinds of activities that flourished and gained importance in Mathura and in turn gave Mathura its prosperity and wealth and influence, we should definitely mention the production of sculptures. In fact, the Mathura school of art emerged in Mathura around the 2nd century BCE. The Mathura school of art has been very prominent in the Indian subcontinent, and it has survived mostly in the form of sculptures. Many kinds of sculptures were made in the Mathura school of art, and the sculptures included religious deities, famous statues, as well as the sculptures of the Kushana rulers. Now here on the screen you could see two of the many marvelous sculptures that were made in the Mathura school of art. Here you can see the Kimball seated Bodhisattva. Now this is a religious sculpture because Bodhisattva was Lord Buddha. And here you can see a sculpture of the Kushan Emperor Kanishka I. Now here you cannot see the head of the sculpture of Kanishka I. You could see only from his torso. This is because the sculptures were made so many hundreds and thousands of years ago. The Mathura school of art, as we just talked about, flourished in the 2nd century BCE. That was so many thousands of years ago. Now over the ages, due to the processes of wear and tear, many of the sculptures have got destroyed. But that is not to say that the sculptures have been completely destroyed. These are now found in different museums in the country. These constitute the great cultural heritage of the nation. Now we talked about how Mathura gained importance as a major center of power, as a capital city of the Kushana Empire. But Mathura's importance was not restricted to only the administrative and economic fronts. This is because since the ages, Mathura has also been a very important religious center. In Hinduism, Mathura is considered to be the birthplace of Lord Krishna, which is why if you ever visit Mathura, you will find many Krishna temples there, and Lord Krishna is the primary deity who is worshipped in Mathura. So here you can see a Krishna temple that could be found in Mathura. Now even in the mythological epic, that is the Ramayana, mention has been found of Mathura, and Mathura has been referred to as Madhuvan. So from this you can understand how old and how ancient this great city is. But Mathura has been a place that has witnessed the coexistence and the harmonious commingling of different religions. This is because alongside Hindu Krishna temples, you could also find Buddhist stupas in Mathura. And along with Buddhist stupas, you could also find Jain shrines. So you can see how there is a peaceful and harmonious coexistence of different religions in the city of Mathura. The study of history shall remain incomplete without taking into account the sources of information. In this regard, the question that arises is that how do we get to know so much about this city of Mathura? Mathura still continues to be a well-populated city in the present-day Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. But how do we get to know about the lives of people, about the sculptures that flourished thousands of years ago? We get a lot of valuable information on the lives of the people who lived in Mathura in the ancient times from inscriptions. And these inscriptions were made on different materials like statues, stone slabs, as well as pillars. Now the importance of inscriptions in the studying of history is something that you already know. inscriptions are very important. This is because without inscriptions, it would be absolutely impossible for us to understand and construct the lives of the people who lived so many hundreds and thousands of years ago. Now, what do we get to know from these inscriptions that are found on different materials in Mathura? From these inscriptions, we get to know a lot about several gifts that were given by kings, queens, officers, merchants, as well as craftspersons who lived in the city. And who did these people give the gifts? They gave these gifts to the monasteries, shrines, and the temples that were there in Mathura. So this says how religion has always been a very intricate and essential part of life in Mathura, which is why kings, queens, officers, merchants, and even craftspersons who were not very wealthy at all times also extended gifts towards the monasteries, shrines, and temples. After beginning this lesson, we also talked about how people from different regions started settling in the cities. And people from nearby regions also started staying in Mathura after it emerged as an important city. And here, people were pursuing different kinds of professions. Firstly, we talked about the production of sculptures. That was a very important part of Mathura. And now we come to the production of a very fine kind of pottery that was known as the northern black polished ware. Now, what was this northern black polished ware? This was a kind of pottery that was made of metals and it was given a very fine black polish. These were mostly placed on wheels. And so this northern black polished ware gained importance in Mathura. Now this pottery, as you can understand from its name, was black in color and it had a very fine glass, a mirror shine in its surface. Now you must be questioning, why is this known as the northern black polished ware? This is because this kind of pottery flourished in the northern part of the subcontinent, and because of this it is known as the northern black polished ware. Now before proceeding with this lesson, let me ask you a question. Mathura was famous for a type of very fine pottery that was known as terracotta, northern black polished ware, china clay, or ceramic. Will you be able to fill in this blank with the correct option? Well, the correct answer is northern black polished ware. This kind of pottery made Mathura a very important center of production. Now, do you think Mathura was the only place where different kinds of goods and items were produced? You will be wrong to assume so. This is because in ancient times, cities were thriving throughout the subcontinent, which is why different kinds of things were being produced in various regions. Now, one thing that has been very important in the Indian subcontinent since the ages is the manufacturing of cloth. Now, this manufacturing of cloth was an important craft in different parts of the subcontinent. And this manufacturing of cloth is important in the country even today, because the manufacture of textiles constitute a very important activity in the country even to this day. And when cloth was being produced in different pockets throughout the subcontinent, different kinds of activities like bleaching, weaving, dyeing also gained importance. So you can understand how the flourish of one activity gave birth to many other activities that were associated with it. Now, as we talked about the manufacturing of cloth that gained importance as a craft in the Indian subcontinent in ancient times, two specific centers should be mentioned, and those were Varanasi in the north and Madurai in the south. Now here on this map you could look at Varanasi in the northern part of the Indian subcontinent, and here you could look at Madurai in the southern part of the subcontinent. Varanasi is located in the present day Indian state of Uttar Pradesh and Madurai is located in the present day Indian state of Tamil Nadu. And needless to mention, Varanasi and Madurai still continue to be important centers of the production of cloth. I'm sure some of you have heard the name of a type of sari that is known as Banarasi. And this kind of sari was first produced in this center of craft production, which was Varanasi. Likewise in Madurai, a particular kind of sari that is known as Madurai silk still continues to be produced, and this is now popular in not just the country but throughout the world. And these important centers of the manufacture of cloth did not emerge just a while ago. This happened so many hundreds and thousands of years ago. Now, when trade activities flourish in any region, one thing that needs to be taken care of is proper organization. It is because without proper organization, nothing can happen smoothly, be that trade or any other activity. Now, how did the traders, the craftspersons, the merchants come to a resolution about this? They now formed proper associations, and these associations of craftspersons and merchants were known as shrenis. Now, the shrenis of craftspersons and the shrenis of merchants had very distinctly different functions. Let us now get into discussing the function of these shrenis with regard to the associations of the craftspersons and the merchants. Firstly, we begin with the shrenis or the associations of the craftspersons. Now, these shrenis or these associations took care of providing training, because for the production of any kind of cloth, any kind of textile, the craftspersons need to be trained properly, which is why these shrenis of craftspersons now provided training to these craftspersons. Along with that, these shrenis helped the craftspersons to procure raw materials, because only with training proper textiles and goods cannot be produced. Because for the production of textiles or goods or any kind of item, raw materials are required, and these raw materials were procured by the shrenis of the craftspersons. And next we come to another function of the shrenis of the craftspersons, which was to distribute the finished products. Because after the craftspersons got these raw materials, they produced their goods. And these finished goods had to be distributed in the market so as to sell these products. Now, this thing was also taken care of by the shrenis. So, can you understand how important these organizations were? Because without this proper organization, without these associations, it would have been absolutely impossible for the craftspersons to take care of so many things single-handedly. On the other hand, the shrenis of the merchants organized trade, because when these finished products were distributed, the merchants had to trade these finished products. So, in order to perform the trade activities very smoothly and efficiently, the shrenis of the merchants helped them in organizing the trades. And lastly, the shrenis of the merchants also helped in banking, This is because these merchants amassed wealth after performing the trade activities. In today's world, we have banks where you must have seen your parents going to deposit money. Likewise, these shrenis of the merchants performed as banks, and these merchants deposited their money with these shrenis. Now, after any interest was gained on the deposited money, the interest was either returned to the merchants or distributed and deposited as charity in the local temples. From this, we can understand the important role that shrenis had in order to perform better trade activities with regard to the production of good and the distribution and selling of goods. This now brings us to an end of our discussion on the ancient city of Mathura. Firstly, we began this discussion by talking about how cities evolved as important centers of power. Here we learned that Mathura gained importance since it was the second capital of the Kushana Empire. Now, Mathura as an important administrative and economic center of power, lots of people started staying there. And here the production of sculptures flourished, which gave birth to the Mathura school of art. This was also an important religious center because here there was a coexistence of different religions like Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism. And last but not the least, we talked about how northern black polished ware, a particular kind of pottery, also became very famous in Mathura. Subsequently, we focused on the production of cloth as it happened in different centers in the Indian subcontinent, and we mentioned two centers to be specific, which were Varanasi in the northern part and Madurai in the southern part. And at the end of this lesson, we focused on how the organization of craftspersons and merchants, which were known as the shrenis, played a very important role in the smooth and efficient performance of trade activities. Here we focused on a city that thrived in the northern part of the Indian subcontinent. In a subsequent lesson, we will focus on another city that thrived in the southern part of the Indian subcontinent in the ancient times. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it's rewarding too. So register for free now.